and welcome back to another episode of the Cables to Clouds fortnightly news podcast, where we go over some of the recent news articles that we've seen over the last 2 weeks, give our opinions, our hot takes, all of our, good substance material for you, the listener, and we also provide you some links to have a look at them as well. So my name is Chris Miles. I'll be your host for this week at BGP Main on Blue Sky. Joining me as always is, I'm running out of adjectives to describe Tim, but he's just, beautiful, lovely person.
Yeah, there's a lot. Did you get your thesaurus?
Yeah, exactly. Tim McConaughey at Carpe-DMVPN on Blue Sky as well. So with that, let's hop right into the news this week. So first up, we have a couple articles specifically about training and certification, which is good for us. We never really hear a lot about this topic and specifically within cloud networking and things like that. But so first up, we have an article here from SDX Central, which is kind of just an overview of an announcement that CompTIA made about a new certification called CloudNetX, specifically focusing on IT professionals within cloud, network architecture, and security. So this is apparently a new addition that is part of CompTIA's Expert, that is expert without an E at the beginning, just an capital Expert program, which looks to be kind of a series of expert level certifications, that they offer. I'll be honest, I've been out of the CompTIA game for a little bit, and I didn't know they even offered this, but they seem to have ones over this CloudNetX vertical, as well as SecurityX, as well as DataX. So this is kind of rounding out that portfolio there. So yeah, it's like I said, it's specifically focusing on hybrid cloud. It looks like with the listing here says validates the advanced skills needed to design, engineer, and integrate secure, scalable networking solutions in hybrid environments. And there's a wealth of stuff covered on here. Apparently, they even get into the details on things like container networking and AI for automation and things like that, which is, I don't know, man. Like, I did not see this coming specifically from CompTIA. Like, if we think of it, like, we've always been kind of talking about, like, I mean, as far as certification goes, training in infrastructure technologies, like the two most successful things out there are the CCNA and the A+. Like, CompTIA has always been in this game for sure, but I feel like the Net Plus has always been kind of like the little brother to the CCNA. That's always like, for sure. Yeah, it's like, people get it, and it's like it's definitely a worthwhile achievement. I'm not kind of poo-pooing on it or anything, but it's always been like, it teaches you some fundamentals, but it's not. I would never say Net Plus is probably equivalent enough to land like a solid job as a network engineer, right? I feel like you had to kind of go above that, but this sounds like, like a major leap beyond what the Net Plus is, and even on the landing page for this certification, they actually have a little kind of comparison matrix to how this stacks up compared to the CCIE, the CCDE, and the AWS Advanced Networking Specialty Exam, which is funny because it's kind of pointing at like, ours is only one exam with 165 questions, and the prerequisites are 10 years with 5 of those being in network architecture. I don't know how they validate that, or I don't know.
I have to assume, that can't be a true prerequisite, right? Yeah. That's got to be like a suggestion.
Right. But it does call out the CCIE and the CCDEs having no formal prerequisites, which I guess is true. It's not formal. I mean, it's heavily implied that you should have been working in this, or else it's going to be very difficult for you. But if are they listing that theirs is a formal prerequisite? Like, it has to be met in some capacity before they'll even admit you into the exam? I don't know how they do that.
That's weird. Yeah. How would you send a resume? Like, I don't even know how you would validate that one. That's a weird one.
We're venturing into like CCAR territory with this one. But yeah, like I said, this was like, I'm definitely interested in looking at this because like the content sounds pretty good. I don't think there's any kind of official training out for it just yet, as we're just looking at the announcement of the exam itself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man, I thought this sounds pretty cool. I'd like to see it in action, and hopefully it lives up to the hype. But what about you, Tim? What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you, right? Like, I didn't even know that they had this expert level with an X Maybe they're on the Elon train or something. I'm not sure, but we should just rename everything X.
It's the everything certification.
Exactly. But no. Seriously though, I mean, CompTIA is a good company. They know what they're doing. I mean, I took my Security Plus forever ago. I never did take my Network Plus. I got it. So when I took my degree at Western Governors for cloud computing, of course I had my CCIE. So they like can't they scratched off pretty much all of the networking prerequisites for that thing, but including the Network Plus. And I did have to take the Cloud Plus, which was interesting. CompTIA had a weird way of doing the Cloud Plus because it was heavily. It was actually like, I don't know, 65-35 or something for public cloud versus private cloud. So there was actually a ton of private cloud stuff on that exam. I'm curious, given the I wouldn't even call it a blueprint, but what they're saying is going to be in this CloudNetX one, just how heavily they're going to lead into like Kubernetes or the AI stuff, or
Right.
on top of the other cloud stuff. How are they going to talk about each public cloud, or is it just going to cover it as a general? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's because CompTIA has always been kind of the Switzerland of certifications, right? It doesn't lean very heavily at all in direction of a particular vendor. Yeah, man, not much. I do think it's hilarious though that they have this. Here's our exam, and we're comparing it to a CCIE or a CCDE, which involve an 8-hour lab exam.
Right. Right. Yeah, just to your previous point about like whether or not what CSPs will be covered, if at all, I will say there's a listing on this on the landing page that says organizations that contributed to the development of this exam. AWS and Google are on there, as well as some other names like Fidelity,
sure.
Johns Hopkins University, but Microsoft not on there. Not to say they wouldn't be involved, but they or maybe I would imagine if they're being covered, they would be on there in some capacity. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I missed that. But yeah, these are organizations that quote unquote contributed to the development. So does that mean they had SMEs basically that helped build the exam from these organizations? But yeah, interesting that Microsoft's not on there.
Yeah. So I wonder what that means. I guess we'll find out when the material actually comes
out. Cool. All right. And then on the back of that one, we actually have one from our employer, Aviatrix, that is just announcing the Aviatrix from our ACE program, the Aviatrix Certified Engineer program, a new hybrid cloud, ACE hybrid cloud certification. So actually fairly close to the same idea, where it's going to be focused on hybrid cloud connectivity. It's going to be focused on connecting on-prem to the cloud using the Aviatrix framework. Excuse me. Also including middle mile providers like Equinix and Megaport. So people who take this certification will also learn how to do it through spinning up Megaport and Equinix virtual environment edges, and of course like I said, on-prem to the cloud. So it's interesting to see that these two just happen to come out around the same time, because we've been saying for a while that hybrid cloud is the future. For so long we've been saying for hybrid cloud is the future, and I think we're finally starting to see, of course, to be fair, Aviatrix has been on the hybrid cloud train forever. It's just taken us a while to develop an actual curriculum for that specifically. But yeah, it's good to see more vendors leaning into hybrid cloud as the future. What do you think?
Totally agree. Yeah, I think probably a bit of the AI shift has probably pushed this into the foreground a little bit more than it was previously, which is a good thing for us, right? We get to say that we were right, although I think we were probably, to be honest, we were probably predicting something that everyone knew was going to be right. But hey, we get to stand on that, right? But no, yeah, this is great. I've obviously had a hand in configuring this solution many times with our hybrid solution integrations with Equinix and Megaport, and we have close relationships with them. So glad to see everyone else is going to get access to that, and really excited for this. It'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely one of our better certifications that we've rolled out recently.
Agreed. All right. Next up, we have an announcement from Cloudflare that they are entering the multi-cloud networking market with a new product, which is called Magic Cloud Networking. So if you are familiar, I think we covered this back when it announced. I think it was like,
We
what was
did.
it?
It was a
Was
year
it?
ago.
Yeah, it was about, I thought it was maybe a little bit less than a year ago. Basically, Cloudflare had acquired a company called Nepheli, which is or Nepheli Networks, which was a multi-cloud networking solution, MCN solution, really focused on the orchestration of building multi-cloud networks. It was kind of weird because like I had never heard of Nepheli, but like by the time they got acquired, if you went to their website, it was already redirecting to Cloudflare like day one. So it was kind of hard to kind of go back into the past and see what it was, but it seemed like it was an orchestration engine that probably leveraged a lot of the public cloud APIs and things like that to build networks and, correlated, building tunnels between them as well. So pretty cool interface. I remember seeing that. But now they've finally kind of rebranded this as their own product, which is the Magic Cloud Networking. So, pretty much everything that Cloudflare has done has had the Magic moniker on it. So it fits in with that. It seems like they are leaning in this is going to be a direct integration with their connectivity cloud platform, which is kind of it seems like an all-inclusive type platform that they offer that seems to give like some of the, SASE type connectivity options, WAN as a service, SSE is also integrated in this thing as well.
Yep.
Cool to see this come to fruition. One thing that I definitely had a question about when I was looking at the Nepheli solution back in the day, and I still kind of have that impression now, is I don't know where the visibility piece comes in. There is a point here that they list, that's for a lot of customers that want to increase visibility as well as, obviously orchestration is a valuable thing, but I don't know where you get the insights into the traffic going between clouds or into clouds, et cetera, from Cloudflare's perspective. So I'd like to see a little bit more on that, but I think it took them a while, but they finally got it out there. There's not a ton on the docs page just yet, so I'm looking to see that get populated out. But pretty cool. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I want to see the actual integration because Cloudflare's got the whole magic, I don't know, magic stick, magic mic, I don't know, whatever the hell you call it, like their magic quadrant, maybe.
Yeah,
I think they're waiting for that one for Gartner to give it to them. But it's the same thing. Like these, you have a single vendor who honestly is pretty well positioned. Cloudflare being almost the de facto CDN these days. Very well positioned to do this kind of orchestration. I'm with you, man. I'd not heard of Nepheli until they got acquired, and by that point, it was impossible to figure out how the hell it worked, what it was. It's been almost like stealth since then. So I am very curious to see where the rubber meets the road on this Magic Cloud networking thing. What does it actually do? And I'm got the same question. If all it does is orchestration, you're going to get the visibility that the CSPs give you, which is not a great amount of visibility, right? You're going to get metadata, or maybe they'll set up VPC traffic mirroring. Maybe VPC traffic mirroring will be part of it. All that stuff's like super expensive, but maybe that's just part of hey, maybe it's an on-demand or turn it on and turn it off type of setup. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing darts at a board here. I really want to see how this actually works, and more importantly, how it works as part of their total package, like all their magic shit.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like I understand how the orchestration piece and potentially incorporating the existing cloud visibility into this would all operate well within one single interface. I totally get that, but the thing is, orchestrating all of that comes at a cost, right? All those solutions come at a cost. The visibility comes at a very high cost as well for like you said, VPC flow logs and mirroring, things like that. So like I'm questioning like where does that value kind of meet its tipping point, right? Because it's if you're orchestrating, building a Fabergé egg, you still have to pay to build a Fabergé egg, right? So it's like
yeah.
But Yeah, it's super interesting. Glad we've been wondering when this was going to come out, so I'm glad to see it finally hitting the market. But
Yeah, it also took like a year.
Right. Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised it took that long, to be honest with you. It seemed like with the offering that they at least are kind of presenting to us now, it seems like a pretty simple integration, all
Right.
things considered. So I was kind of surprised it took this long, but maybe, I mean, there's probably competing priorities at Cloudflare.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just launch right into this next one because it's fucking confusing. So Microsoft has unveiled a new quantum chip, which sounds really awesome. I can't even. Quantum computing is something I was not unaware of, but had no real skin in the game on. And then a few years ago, when I was I was at where was I? Duarte. I was at Duarte's speaking. Cisco would pay if you're going to speak at Cisco Live. Cisco would pay for you to go to train at Duarte to like the speaking engagement company to learn how to present. And I was there with someone from one of the BUs, and she was talking about quantum computing and basically how quantum computing was going to make encryption worthless. Basically, like it was just like with quantum computing, you can break encryption in a negligible amount of time. So then I was like, holy crap, like why isn't the sky falling on this stuff, right? Like just finding this stuff out. And it turns out because we were like really far away from making any of that happen. But apparently we've made huge leaps and bounds, or rather Microsoft has recently. And yeah, I mean, I can't even refer to the article very well. They, was it qubits, right? Qubits are like the computing units that quantum computing uses. I understand the idea like of it, but I don't know what this means ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be the first to tell you this is way beyond the realm of intelligence that Tim or I possess to really kind of give you a good take on this. But I mean, yeah, when I look at quantum computing, whenever I look it up, it's all like kind of gets into this element of qubits and things like that, which is, I mean, basically it sounds like, in terms of bits, it can be 0 or a 1, and a qubit can exist. Yeah, it can be both. So you can kind of do these like very complicated calculations in a fraction of a second because you're operating within that entire realm of 1 and 0. But the thing that I had to look at some other kind of articles and reviews on this to understand it a little bit better, and it seems like this. Because I'm kind of with you. Like when people talk about quantum computing, like I remember when I was applying for my visa to come to Australia, like quantum computing was like at one of the top of the list things, and I was like, damn, if they're looking for quantum computing, engineers and things like that, like there's no way I'm going to get a visa. That's so far out of my realm. But it's kind of taken a backseat. I don't hear a lot about it until as of recent. And it sounds like this with Microsoft, like it's been a completely different kind of top-down architectural approach to quantum computing that differs from what has been going on for the last 20, 15 years. And they kind of introduced this new what are the chips called? Majorana, I think is what it's called. Majorana, yeah, Majorana is the name. Which is apparently based on a specific subatomic particle that is also its own antiparticle at the same time. So like it kind of negates some of the stuff that qubits have with decoherence, where they kind of like, I guess they like interfere with each other in some capacity to like, and the more decoherence, the less accurate your results can be. So there's a lot of like error corrections and things like that come into play. This is all from my very stupid brain, what I've looked up in the last couple of hours. But yeah, so like my thing is like from a security perspective, we've heard of like from what you just said, like there was this kind of thing about whether or not encryption and security protocols are kind of prepared for quantum based encryption, right? And there's been things that have been put out that are like kind of quantum safe algorithms and things like that. But I question whether or not, like, if Microsoft has taken a completely different approach to this, does that kind of change this in any capacity. I haven't
Like
obviously
the
this
game
is
changed.
yeah, like the news on this is days old at this point, so I don't know if there's been enough kind of investment or kind of research into this. But like I wonder if that just changed the quantum safe algorithm conversation altogether. But I would hope it doesn't. But
Well, yeah. The question is then also how do you because quantum safe algorithms, you know, have we actually? I don't know. Did they say quantum safe algorithms, and mathematically are they safe, or do we actually test them somehow with the quantum computing that we can do right now to make sure that they're safe,
yeah,
or is this
that's
all
true.
is this already just idea? Like it should be safe mathematically, like, but yeah, in which case, yeah, there probably needs to be a lot of vetting or re-vetting depending on how this changes the game. But I mean, the main thing it says is that it's basically it shaves the amount of time that we're going to need to actually make this a thing, like a household
Right.
name. Um,
Yeah, they're
which
talking
I'm still
about
like, how did they figure that
quantum
out?
computers within years instead of decades
Right.
was kind of
Yeah.
the
So
piece from Nadella. Yeah.
right. So I mean, what does that really mean, right? So I guess that's the real question. But yeah, no, a very good question. If it does change the conversation about it, then what does that mean? And how do we sure that it changes the conversation or where do you go from here then if things
Right.
are different now? Like, oh man.
Yeah, because I think this actually comes on the heels of Google just announced a similar chip, not a similar chip, but also a kind of a new quantum computing chip that they offered that is still kind of keeping the same classic architecture that they've been working on, but it like severely reduced the amount of error correction that needed to take place. So
Right.
this one's like everyone's like I've heard comparisons that this is going to be as big of a game changer as like the transistor, which is
Wow.
yeah, that's that. I
That's a
mean
bold claim.
that's a very bold claim. So it's but like I don't know, like if it is something that'll be cool. But like you said, I don't think you and I are smart enough to really understand what this means at this point.
Yeah. We got to get somebody to tell us what this means,
Yeah, I need an explain to me like I'm five scenario.
please.
All right, and to round out the news for this week, we have one more article here from SDX Central, which is about the Zayo group has apparently published a report, a DDoS Insights report, saying that from 2023 to 2024, there has been an increase in distributed denial of service attacks, up 82% from 2023 to 2024, and kind of talking about the widespread of cyber criminals now leveraging things like AI and the growing number of IoT devices across the board. This one, or I feel like we're just throwing this in here as a pat on the back for us, as we also said this is probably going to happen. Kind of the proliferation of AI just really was going to kind of assist the bad actors
Cybercrime.
to take the guardrails off these things and do bad things with them. And I think this is probably the first instance of that. Obviously, I haven't operated in the mind of a cyber criminal much in my life, so I don't know if this is true. But me on the surface, it seems like a DDoS is probably one of the easier things to do because you don't have to be in someone's network to DDoS them, right? You need to kind of
Right.
have control points outside of their control, and then you can perform a DDoS in that capacity. So this seems like this is probably the lowest rung in the ladder type thing, the easiest thing to mimic and use AI to do. So sad to say it's probably going to get worse from here. But yeah, this is interesting to see.
Yeah, I know it mentions that so the IoT thing makes sense. I mean, IoT is basically a botnet waiting to happen if
Yeah,
it's,
that's been a conversation for 10 years at this point.
exactly. Like IoT security is so bad.
Right.
Like, because most IoT developers and IoT manufacturers use like the lowest common denominator parts and code and protocols that are supported, and security is like laughably bad, right? Like everybody
Right.
knows that IoT security is the worst. So this idea of IoT botnets it's legit, right? Like it's definitely a thing. It mentions utilizing AI, and I know we talked about this, but I'm curious if these things are related or like how they're, because it doesn't say how they're actually utilizing the, AI in the attack. Like, are they using AI to help them develop an attack? Are they using AI to create code, like malicious code? I mean, you're not the AI wouldn't know any better necessarily, right? The guardrails just aren't there. AI security is going to be, well, it's already becoming a thing, right? Just security of like prompt security against prompt injection, security, just scrubbing the inputs so you're not, having data exfiltration from the LLMs and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like another thing, right? Like where it's not going to be good enough to create a prompt that says don't give away malicious, or don't help cyber criminals create malicious code. It's not going to be good enough, right? So I think this is a portent of like we said, right? It's gonna be a portent of more cybercrime and more sophisticated. I don't know if it'll be more sophisticated, actually, now that I say that. I think more, like in the same way that script kiddies were enabled by the Kali Linux, and like just be having things kind of packaged up and put a bow on for them. I think AI is going to do the same thing and make it more widely accessible and just louder, essentially.
100%. I totally agree. Like, I don't think this is going to increase the kind of quality, I guess you'd say, of a cyber attack. It's just going to be a quantifiable measurement of more. Because probably one thing that is hindering the precious cyber criminals that we have out there is time that they have to invest in this stuff. And if AI can kind of come in and do more with less time, then it's going to be the thing is, there's a lot of people that are exposed from that perspective on the internet that just haven't been compromised yet, right? But it'll end up being a numbers game, and the more that they have to go out and attack, then the more that's going to get compromised, right? So the gist of the thing is, like, we need to take this shit seriously, is kind of what I gather. And, I think people are kind of skating towards the puck on that one, but, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, so those people that are into, so cybersecurity has been growing for a while, and I think that AI plus cybersecurity is definitely going to be a very quickly growing thing, because it'll have to be. I think it will look different than regular cybersecurity, because it's not quite the same as like application security, or like it's like some weird new thing that I can't figure out. I think hasn't quite been figured out yet.
Right.
But yeah, definitely going to need it. And yeah, it's going to be, otherwise we're going to be all attacked by, it's going to be the school of fish thing. Up until now, there's been a lot of school of fish problem where you have a million people out there vulnerable on the internet, but cyber criminals are spear phishing.
Right.
So once this becomes commoditized with AI, for sure, it's going to be a numbers game.
Yep. Totally agreed. All right. With that, if you've made it to the end, thank you for sticking with us. We are going to put all these articles into the show notes. So there's a doc that we publish on just a Google sheet with all the articles that we cover, plus a few articles that we don't always get around to covering that we think might be interesting. So please take a click on that link. I've never said that before. Take a click on that link. I don't know if that's a phrase.
Take a click on that link.
Yeah, I was gonna say take a look at it, but take a click on that link, bro. Like, I think that'll make you.
It's gonna catch on.
Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna be like a fetch.
It's gonna be a fetch.
Yeah, but thanks for joining us this week. My name is Chris Miles. Joining me as Tim McConaughey, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, it's Tim, and this has been the Cables to Clouds podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast catcher, as well as subscribe and turn on notifications for our YouTube channel to be notified of all our new episodes. Follow us on socials at Cables2Clouds. You can also visit our website for all the show notes at cables2clouds.com. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.